You have to do that because there are so many people in the country who want no deal that it would be undemocratic and wrong to take that off the ballot paper. But you, Joe Swinson, want it off the ballot paper.
That the people's vote needs to have specific deliverable Brexit on the ballot paper, and it needs to have the chance for people to choose to remain in the European Union.
Okay, because, I mean, you may think no deal is a disaster, and for the rest of the country, there are millions of people who don't think that, and who would feel really, really outraged if that was taken off the agenda.
But I mean, this is the irresponsibility of what the Prime Minister, Theresa May, has sort of let happen, as if this is some kind of reasonable option. And when I hear Conservative leadership contenders like Andrea Leadsom talking about a managed exit, as if this is something you can manage and plan for. I mean, it's, you know, planning for no deal. It's like saying you're going to plan for your house to burn down. You might get contents insurance, you're still going to lose all your stuff.
That's your view and your opinion.
It's the government's view, actually. It's the government says the economy will be £140 billion a year worse off if we go for a no-deal exit.
Sure, but all I'm making is a different point, in a sense, a democratic point. Let me read you this. If there is a large swell of opinion which says no deal, then this is an option which you'd have to offer in a democratic vote. That's Vince Cable. He's right, isn't he?
Look, as I say, the Electoral Commission sets the question, and from my perspective, it has to be something that is specific, because we got into this mess.
Well, you might not like it, but no deal is specific.
Well, because Brexit, well, I mean, it doesn't actually tell you what happens the day after, because if we never have any kind of deal, you're just in this sort of perpetual limbo catastrophe. But we do need to have a specific option, because Brexit means Brexit was the most meaningless phrase ever.
I'm in favour of Brexit, but I'm in favour of a trade deal. I think a no-deal Brexit is a recipe for delay and uncertainty, which is the last thing anybody wants in this country.
Let's say we did end up pursuing that no-deal scenario. I feel like it's slightly disingenuous to say that, because at some point we would presumably do some kind of trade deal with Europe. It's almost as if no deal is almost like a holding pattern. Would you agree with that?
A very long holding pattern. I mean, imagine you go into no deal and you sit there on the worst possible terms. WTO terms, by definition, are the worst possible trading terms you can have in the world. It's the terms that Afghanistan has been trading on, right? You sit there, and from a position of weakness, you try to negotiate a new trade deal. And what would Europe say? Europe would say, fine, we have a trade deal with us, pay us our £39 billion, guarantee the citizens' rights, sort out the Irish border, you can have a trade deal. The danger is you would spend 4 or 5 years banging your head against a brick wall and end up with exactly the deal we've been offered at the moment. And what on earth would be the point of that, when we can take advantage of a trade deal to grow our economy? If we can land this by October, there will be a surge of investment in this country. Land no deal, and I'm afraid we're going in a very different situation.
Some people will respond and say that no deal trading on WTO terms will actually reduce the prices for consumers, reduce things like the price of milk in shops, the price of bread. Is that a fair point, do you think? Would you agree with their analysis?
If that's what they're going to do, they're not being honest about what they want to do on their tariffs and quotas. So yes, there are some people who want to go for a no deal, which is complete zero tariffs to the world. You would get cheaper milk, but the milk wouldn't be made in Britain. It would be coming in from other countries. You'd get cheaper beef, it would be coming from Argentina. You'd get cheaper wheat, it would be coming from the United States. And in fact, you would be wiping out your agricultural industry. You could do the same with the car industry, right? You could bring in cars, zero tariff from China. You'd wipe out your automotive industry, because you would be facing 40 to 60% tariffs exporting your agricultural products into Europe and taking everything. And this is the other thing that people aren't pointing out with WTO rules. WTO rules are even for the whole world. If you go zero tariff for cheap milk to the United States, you have to do that with Europe too, while they put up a barrier against you. So you can do that if you want to essentially do what some of the economists on the ERG want to do, which is wipe out our car industry.
Serious words you're throwing around there.
Patrick Minford, I mean, and this, you know, it sounds like this is just words. Patrick Minford, who is the main economist arguing for the no-deal camp, testified to the Foreign Affairs Select Committee when I was on it, on camera, saying, he's prepared to let the British car industry go. It's going to be like the loss of the coal industry in the early 1980s, and we're just going to put some regeneration projects in. That must be understood, because I promise you, the majority of people in this country are not signed up to that. That vision is not democratic, it's not patriotic, and I'm not allowing people to say no deal is the patriotic democratic option. It is not.